Hello everyone. We have discussed so far the fundamentals of object-oriented programming, and we use the following terms. We have the class, we have of course the objects, we have the instance of the class, instance variable, we have the constructors. So these are the most common terms that we need to infuse when we are studying about the object-oriented programming. So this is not applicable only for Java, but this is applicable as well to the different programming languages. Okay, so we need to create a project right here, a simple project that will, we need to write first a procedural program and we transfer that as an OOP. For example, we have here class and then we have here, let's say, data. Okay, public, static, void, main, string. Okay, and we have here a JS. So we have here, a simple program that will, I think, print. No, it's not. We need to print something like from 1 to 10. So you are tasked by your faculty or professor, and you have this case problem that you need to print from 1 to 10. That's very simple, right? So we need only to declare a variable at top x equals to 0, and then we say for int for x equals to 0, x less than equals to 10, and then x plus plus, and then of course we need to print the value of x. Okay, so print line, and then we have here value of x. Okay, let us run the program. As you can see, we have there the output, no? X equals to 0, of course. You run the program. This is, a procedural program. This will count from 0 to 10. Now we can transfer this. I mean, this is your static variable, and there are no objects right here because we did not, created our own instance variable for the class. Instead, this is part of the static variable. Why? Why static? Because this is inside, of course, the public static void main statement. So the instance variable should be placed after the class name. Okay. Now, look what will happen if we transfer this in, an object-oriented programming. Again, the placement of the code is not a problem. You can even, use at the top of this area to write your main class, or the bottom here to write your main class or subclass. Okay, let us write our OOP right now. So we need to use our class again. This is our class name data. Okay. So what is a class? The class is the blueprint of the program. At the same time, well, of course, we can see that we have here the attributes. We only need to print, of course, the value of x from 0 to 10. Okay. If you want to write your class, okay, you can use this area. But mine, I'm using, of course, the last part of this canvas, the portion of this canvas to write my class name as part of the constructor. A constructor is the special methods of the class. All right. Okay, let us erase this again so that you have a clear view on how to write your own version of this code in OOP. Okay. How to do that? Okay. First, all right, I will start to write public static void main. Don't be confused because, well, this compiler has its own, unique way to interpret, of course, the program. That's why I'm putting the static void main at the top. And of course, the remaining of the class will be put here, or the constructor will be put at the bottom of the program. Okay, they are all the same. So string ergs. Okay, what's next? This is where we call the main program. Call the objects or instantiate the objects. Okay. Now, since we need to print, of course, the value from 1 to 10, I will, morph it into an OOP. How to do that? As you can see, we have here the opening of the program, the open braces, and we have here the open and close braces. This is part of the public static void main. So this is not yet finished. Therefore, we need to use this class as part of the class inside the class. Therefore, I will write here the classifier for private int, and then we have here the value of x equals to 0. Okay. So we don't have the value right here. We need to provide 0 right here. Okay. After that, what will happen? This is now we create a constructor. Okay, what's the name of the constructor? Yes, your answer is correct. The constructor name is data. Therefore, we need to conceive, an object right here, any name. For example, I will write public data, and well, of course, we need to provide now a parameter in our constructor to count from 1 to 10. Or maybe we can use, of course, the default constructor first. Okay, so we don't have the constructor yet, but again, we declare it's part of the instance variable because we need to call this in our constructor. Okay, private int x0. Okay, now what will happen? open parentheses, we don't have the constructor yet, and then we need to use this thing to write our program. For, okay, this point x or x, let's say 0, x is equals to 10, then x plus plus, and then we have to use this. Okay, this is part of the code wherein we need to create a block for our loop, and then we use to system, out, print line, okay, and then we use the x. We did not use the this property because for one thing, well, we don't want to return any value at the top of the program. Instead, it will just run, a private thing inside this constructor. We haven't yet initialized the constructor, but we write our constructor as part of our main class program. Okay, so this is the main class. This is of course the public data. This is the constructor, and we need to end of course the main class right here. Why is it that we exceed with our close braces? Because this is the pair of your main class program and all data. Okay, please check the code. Okay, as you can see, we have the code right here. This is where we use the open, and we have here the close for the end data. You copy? Okay. Now let us move forward. As you can see, we haven't yet, of course, created our object right here. We need to create and initialize the constructor, but we don't have the parameter. Okay, we just declare this at the top so that our data will be safe. Okay, so we will call, of course, the main class to instantiate the object. So data, I'm sorry, I will call it as a main class. I'm sorry because this is the main class. All right, but in other compiler you can use other name. Okay, so data I will use what object one. Okay, and then new data. What will be the data? We don't have the constructor. We don't have, of course, the parameter here. Instead, of course, we need only to call, of course, the object and initialize the object by means of the constructor. Okay, so what's that constructor? The constructor is object. And of course, what is the name of the class? I'm sorry. The name of the class is main. All right. This is the name of the class. Okay, where is the name of the class? Okay. As you can see, we have here the name of the class at the top. This one is the name class. This is your main, and this is the constructor. At the bottom of that, of course, we declare our constructor at the bottom. A default constructor, we don't have any value here, but we again create a program to print the value of x from 1 to 10. So what is the attribute? The attribute is x. Okay, the attribute is x. I will again reiterate this that you can put this thing at the top of the code here at the top. But because this is a different compiler, therefore I will follow and of course abide to the rules of the program is the placement of the code. Let us run the code. Let us test it if this is working. Okay, so there you have it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why is it that we don't use the this value, this property? Because we don't have any value to be returned at the main program. This is a parameterless type of information. So there you have it. So we transfer, and at the same time, we converted the procedural programming to count from 1 to 10 into an object-oriented a code. Okay. Now let us identify. We have, of course, the main class. We have the instance variable. So this instance variable is accessible inside the main class. Therefore, we don't use the this point x because we don't have the our purpose is just to print the value from 1 to 10, and we don't have the return value to the main program here. Okay, that's why we use the value of x. X is now part of the constructor. Okay, that's it.